How does it feel if you're the Sabres to lose 10 in a row?
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome in to another episode of the Locked On NHL podcast. We are your daily podcast on the NHL, and we are your team each and every day. We thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day as well. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. Today's episode is brought to you by the College Football Playoffs. The College Football Playoff is here, and you don't want to miss a moment of the action. The College Football Playoff, presented by Allstate, begins with 4 first-round games, December 20th and 21st on ESPN, ABC, TNT, and Max. On today's episode of Locked On NHL, we take a look at the reeling Buffalo Sabres, who have lost 10 games in a row. We'll also talk about a big trade for the Anaheim Ducks and the St. Louis Blues. And we will take a look at the Sens, the Locked On Senators, having a great time these days because the Ottawa Senators are rolling. My name is Seth Toupal, host of Locked On Wild and Bob Dylan impersonator, and joined today by J.D. Young of Locked On Sharks. And J.D., let's talk about those reeling Buffalo Sabres to start. A team that was hoping to get back to the fun times this year with Lindy Ruff in tow, hoping to get back to some of the glory days of the franchise's previous seasons. Well, this year it has been anything but. It has been nothing short of a mess. The Sabres have lost 10 games in a row. They have collected 3 points in that span, but they've lost 10 games in a row. And you look at the standings right now for a team, as you said when we were kind of getting the show ready before we hit record, a team that has plenty of talent on that roster. And they are 7th in the Atlantic, and they have the second fewest points in the East. And the only teams that have fewer points than them right now are the Chicago Blackhawks and the Nashville Predators. Dicey times for the Buffalo Sabres this year.
Yeah, as someone who is well-versed in having their team lose 9-10 straight games in a row, this was supposed to be like the coronation of all the suffering, right, for Buffalo. You know, you've got all these guys that you've high-end draft picks. You feel like you had the right coach now in place. Like, this was supposed to be the year that they make that jump and finally end the drought of missing the playoffs. And it has been, I think, other than Nashville, one of the biggest backfires of the season is just what this team has become. And, I don't know the owners meeting the team in Montreal today to talk about to them. Like, this team, I don't know what the shakeup is for this team here, because they need to do something. Because what they're doing right now, it's not it. And I think I don't know the path and kind of what this team can become. Because you look at the team, a lot of top end talent, multiple high-end picks, multiple first overall picks on this team, but I don't know if they have the guy, right? The guy where the chips are down and you realize, like, we need a goal here, we need a big moment, we need something. Who's that guy? You, Minnesota Wild fan, right? You're down 1 with 2 minutes left. You feel like if Kirill Kaprizov's out there, right? You got a fighting chance, right?
Yes.
Me, my child, Macklin Celebrini, even though he's 18, I feel like if he's out there, the Sharks got a chance. And Sharks are a terrible team, but still, like, I feel like they have that guy. Like, you look at the Sabres, who's that guy for them? Like Tage Thompson was good a couple years ago, like, but it hasn't never kind of hit that same that we saw from him like 2 years ago. Like they have a lot of really high. I don't know if they have the pecking order of that one guy who's at the top. Like that's just going to be like, get on my back. I'm going to carry this team, and I'm not like we are not going to lose.
Yeah, and it's been a team that has obviously had guys that could have been, but they haven't stuck around. I mean, Jack Eichel was supposed to be that type of a guy, but the Sabres didn't win a ton of games while he was in tow. They had another guy who could potentially have been that type of a player in Sam Reinhart. He went to Florida, and it's a Sabres team that it just feels like hasn't replaced those types of players in the lineup yet. I mean, you've got promising young talent. You've got Dylan Cousins, who's a nice young up-and-coming player. I mean, Peyton Krebs, 23 years old. You've obviously got that young decor that we all rave about. Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin, who's on IR, Bowen Byram. You know, they've got good young talent on this team, but I think you're right on the money. Is there just is nobody who steps up. It's a lot. It's a lot of players that are ready to play second fiddle, but when the spotlight is shining on somebody, the first move by a lot of these players is to kind of turn and look to see who's going to step up and lead. You know,
that guy. Yeah.
There are a lot of guys that are happy to play secondary roles, but they don't have that. They don't have that go-to guy yet. And
that dog. Who's the dog on the team?
Got that dog in them. Let's address a couple of things before we wrap up the Buffalo conversation. From Frank Cervalli earlier today, sources indicate Sabres players met with owner Terry Pegula and GM Kevin Adams today in Montreal. The summary of the message was, "We believe in you. The solution is within the room." Pegula professed faith in Adams, Ruff, and apparently told players to not expect a big trade. So here's the other thing. And this is not with Rasmus Dahlin's cap number because he's just on IR. Buffalo Sabres have $9 million in cap space right now. They are projected to have $27 million at the deadline. So my question is, why not? Why are you not going to be making a big trade? This is where I think teams miss the mark a lot of the time. Being afraid to mortgage current assets to try to pull yourself out of the mud. You've seen plenty, and I'm kind of trying to tell my audience this as well. Not all those prospects are going to make the team. Not all those players are going to make the NHL roster. So you have to, number one, decide when your window is, and anything that can help you for that window, you keep. Anything that's not going to help you for that window, you move to get things that can. It feels like I'm 100% in agreement that it feels like Buffalo needs to make a big swing. They need to do something. And I know we're early in the season. There aren't a ton of teams that are out of the postseason picture right now. So there's some trade activity, as we'll talk about in a little bit. But there just aren't a ton of teams that are out of the picture yet. But if it were me, I'd get on the phone with the New York Islanders the moment they fall out of contention. They're a team that is in need of some youth.
Yep.
Go grab a veteran to lead these guys. Go get Anders Lee.
The Rangers, who are open for business and have a lot of top-end guys who have gone very deep in the playoffs, and the Rangers need some assets. They got a ton of cap space. I think let's hear from Joe, who covers the Sabres, and what he thinks on this team.
The Sabres are through, 31 games. They are who we thought they were. We know who they are now. We know who the Buffalo Sabres are at this point. They can't hold leads. They're bad on the power play. They can't score goals outside of their top two players. And especially without Rasmus Dahlin in the lineup, like they can't control pucks. They can't control possession. And I don't see that flipping around. I don't see the talent on this roster to flip it around. It's almost like, for me, I was worried all offseason. Like, I just don't think they're talented enough. I just don't think they have enough scoring. And it's like they got to December and they started believing that. They started realizing that. And when they realized that, maybe that's when mentally they just kind of went to you know what. I don't know. I'm just taking my best guess at like what has happened to them mentally. I'm not surprised by their inability to score, but mentally, it's just they're a broken group. They're a broken group that needs a shakeup. And I don't know that they have the man in charge to give you that shakeup.
Yikes. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? The thing that depressed me most about that was that Joe had up on top on the side, days since the last Sabres win, 23. They've gone almost a full calendar month without a win.
I've been there, buddy. I've been there. Yeah, like, because even if the Sabres take, like, okay, you're going to get another top 4 pick in the draft, like, that guy isn't really going to help this current group. Like, your timelines are getting too separated.
Yeah.
I think I think the Sabres, they need to make a big trade. They need to go out and get somebody who can, again, put everybody in the right pecking order. Who is that guy? That's a great question, but they have to do something. Like, you can't keep doing the same thing and hoping this is going to be the time that it's different, because I think this Sabres team, there's so many talented players I really like, but I just don't know if they have that dude.
Yeah, they do not. I'll go ahead and just say that they don't. So, like we said, call up one of the other New York teams once they decide that it's finally time to start making some moves and make a big swing. Because John Hines, this is one of the things I think he has been most deliberate with since he took over for the Minnesota Wild, is attacking a team who has a defeated mindset. It's hard to change. It's hard to change that for a team that is kind of checked out. It's something that takes a full off season.
Believe me, I watched a lot of terrible hockey in San Jose, and there's still that losing. And I can't even imagine the Sabres, who've had, what is this, year 13, 14 since they've been to the playoffs. That we're going generational losing, with this team. You have to do something. And you look at the Buffalo Bills. That was a losing franchise for years, and they found their dude in Josh Allen. And now look, they've been one of the most successful franchises since Josh Allen arrived. Like, they've done everything except for win the big one. But yeah, I think it's hard to find those guys, but you got to go find him. You got to go attempt to find him. So
yeah, go find a Cam Fowler. Go make that type of a trade. Oh wait, no, that was the St. Louis Blues that acquired yet another 30-something defenseman, this time from the Anaheim Ducks. So we will take a look at the Blues Ducks trade as J.D. picks himself up off the floor. We'll talk about that as we continue today's episode of Locked on NHL after this. Today's episode of Locked on NHL is brought to you by Built Rewards. If you're a renter, listen up. This is a total game changer. Thanks to Built, you can now earn points on rent payments, just like you do with groceries or travel. Paying rent now comes with serious perks, and it's completely free to join. Earn valuable Built points on your rent and everyday spending at no extra cost. Redeem points for flights, hotel stays, and even future rent payments. With over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels in their program, the possibilities are endless. Access unique experiences that are exclusive to Built members. Me, myself, I love using points for travel. Built makes it so easy to turn rent into rewards. If you're already paying rent, why not make it work for you? Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNHL. Make sure you use our link so they know we sent you. Don't wait. Start earning rewards today. Join Built, BILT.com/LockedOnNHL.
The World Series, Super Bowl, the Olympics, the world's top athletes get to play in these top-level sporting events thanks to one thing, teamwork. And teamwork can also protect your financial legacy and your family's future. SelectQuote's licensed insurance agents are the perfect teammates when shopping for customized, affordable life insurance. They can help you find the right policy to keep your financial legacy safely in your family's end zone. SelectQuote is one of America's leading insurance brokers with nearly 40 years of experience, helping over 2 million customers find over $700 billion in coverage since 1985. You invest so much time to take care of yourself and be the healthiest, best version of you. SelectQuote's exclusive policies can reward that effort. Head to SelectQuote.com and a licensed insurance agent will call you right away with the right policy for your life and your budget. So get the right life insurance for you for less at SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL. Go to SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL today to get started. That's SelectQuote.com/LockedOnNHL.
Welcome back to today's episode of Locked On NHL. Once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Make sure to check out Locked On NHL throughout the rest of the week as well, so you can get in all of the big headlines throughout the NHL, hearing from our hosts throughout the week, but also from your favorite Locked On NHL shows. All part of Locked On NHL. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube so you don't miss a beat. And speaking of missing a beat, the St. Louis Blues certainly did not, as they acquired Cam Fowler in a trade with the Anaheim Ducks. The decor now for the St. Louis Blues, J.D., 32 years old, Justin Falk. 31-year-old, Colton Parayko. 23-year-old, Philip Broberg. 33-year-old Cam Fowler, 29-year-old Scott Perunovich, 39-year-old Ryan Suter, and 25-year-old Pierre-Olivier Joseph. It's an old group.
They are Thanos, but they're just collecting old defensemen. Just give me all the old defensemen. Let me feel that course through my body. It's working for them now. Like they've been on since the coach swap. They've been playing much better, but they're so old. I'm so old.
Yeah. I'm the crypt keeper.
I'm the crypt keeper. I mean, I will give the Ducks. They ate a little bit of salary. They got all the cap space in the world. Who cares? Like that doesn't matter for them. But getting a second round pick, not too bad. I think for the Ducks, as the kids say, a tiny bit of business here. Getting a second round pick for a guy who clearly has been trying to get out of there for a while, and it frees up your decor, and now allows Gudis and Trouba to run around and just elbow small children. But
good.
Oh, good. I think though they had no leverage for the Ducks, and a guy who had to waive his trade clause to go there. I think that's a really nice deal for Anaheim, and for the Blues, like another experienced defenseman who can do defensive things. I guess I don't know, man. I don't get this for the Blues. You have 1,000 of the same guy.
Yeah. Dom Lashusen of The Athletic tried to break this trade down, and the analytics for Cam Fowler are so bad they broke his model. I think right now, before the trade, Cam Fowler was a -3 net offensively and a -6 defensively. So what do we think? Do we think that was because the Ducks are bad? But hey, guess what? Guess what? The Anaheim Ducks actually have been one of the stingiest teams in terms of goals allowed this year. A lot of that's Lucas Dostal.
Dostal's pretty good.
But they still haven't given up a ton of goals. And so somebody who is that bad net defensively, like, that doesn't bode well going to a team that, hey, guess what? Not that great defensively. And now you get a bunch of guys who are making a lot of money and are like a couple of months away from AARP cards. This is a gamble for the Blues.
And even for a team like the Blues, who when they hired Jim Montgomery, one of the things they said was they want all the players were like, we've been playing too defensive, we've been playing too kind of sheltered. We need to play more offensively, which is fine. Defense is for nerds. Go score a bunch of points. That's any Locked On Sharks listener knows. The whole idea behind that is it's hard to win games 2-1. It's hard to win every game 2-1. You need to try to go score points. But again, you have 1,000 of the same defense. St. Louis, you have they're all the same dude. Yeah,
you currently have 6 defensemen making $4 million or more.
All 35 and older.
Their decor is currently costing them $34.955 million. That's a lot.
That's like Erik Karlsson, Brett Burns, Vlasic all on the same team.
That's 39% of their salary cap
for 6 dudes.
Wow. Let's hear from our colleague Haley Taylor Simon and what she thinks about Fowler flying the coop and heading to Bluesville.
St. Louis Blues made a trade today, getting 33-year-old defenseman Cam Fowler from the Anaheim Ducks. Fowler is only 9 games away from hitting 1,000 games. Unsure if he's going to play in Dallas tonight against the Stars, but this is a huge move because it shows that they looked for a Torrey Krug replacement. Now, his 7th out of 8 years is due in his contract, so he's not going to be with the Blues probably past the season, but it does signify that the Blues are making strides to kind of find that Krug replacement on defense.
I mean, yeah, you got to replace players that eat up a lot of minutes, but yeah, that balance sheet is a little unbalanced heading into the offseason. Obviously, Ryan Suter's not going to hang around.
That's what you think. Actually, he's got to continue his tour through the Central. So.
If he Jack Nicholson's down the door and just says, "Here's Suter," that'd be something else. No, he's gonna go to he'll go to Colorado next.
He's got to work his way through. So
it's a very expensive decor, and I just don't think so Scott Perunovich is a restricted free agent next year. Are you going to pay him? I really can't.
It worries me when the first thing you say is he's almost at 1,000 games. That was I'm not. Haley does a great job covering the Blues and stuff, but right, it's great in the locker room, good community guy, almost at 1,000 games. You haven't talked about his actual on ice impact, which worries me a ton.
Yeah, not great, Bob. Not great at all. But hey, that's the St. Louis Blues wheeling and dealing for you. Teams like the Ottawa Senators, they don't need to make any moves because they just keep winning. All because the goaltending has taken a magical turn in the right direction. The Senators finally have a goalie. In the year 2024, the year of our Lord, we have finally found the Senators a goalie. So we'll talk about the job that Linus Ullmark is doing for Ottawa as we finish today's episode of Locked On NHL after this.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So you get the hunch in the middle of a game. Maybe you feel like the Bills-Lions might get into a bit of a shootout. Put $5 down, and you're probably feeling pretty good about yourself right now. You check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Final segment of today's episode of Locked On NHL. And once again, we thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen each and every day. Again, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, or if you're listening in the car, on your laptop, on your phone, or on the go, we appreciate you listening there as well. Make sure to follow and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any new episodes throughout the week. JD, the Senators, the Sens to some, they are getting on a little bit of a roll here, finally. And this is, I don't have the exact tweet from our friends at Locked On Senators, but if I recall correctly, this is the latest in a season in which the Senators have been in a playoff spot for quite some time.
Yeah, another one of those teams that, just like the Sabres, right? The Red Wings, you kind of throw all those teams in the same bucket of is this the year? They've been drafting high picks for a while. Is this the year where they finally get it going? And it seems like they have they figured out the goaltending, which has been kind of this team's bugaboo for the last couple of seasons. Of, they've made moves to try. They went out, they swung huge for Ullmark, and he's starting to pay dividends for this team, and was actually rewarded with the 3rd star of the week from the NHL. So let's hear from Ross.
Don't look now, but the Ottawa Senators are 7-2-1 in their last 10 games and currently sit in a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. I'm Ross Levitan from Locked On Senators, and a huge reason for Ottawa's success is Linus Ullmark, the NHL's 3rd star of the week. Ullmark was a perfect 3-0 this week, beating the Anaheim Ducks on Wednesday and then playing in both halves of a back-to-back on short notice, too. He shut out Carolina on the road Friday, and then Anton Forsberg was hurt in the pregame warm-up, putting Ullmark into action on the second half, and he beat the Penguins 3-2 in overtime. Ullmark's spectacular .967 save percentage really rewinds and puts an end to any talk around a slow start since joining the team in the offseason. A great note. He told the media in mid-November that his son Harry came to him during the first snowfall in the nation's capital and said, "I'm the happiest boy in the world." Well, good life at home, great life on the ice. Since then, Ullmark in 7 games is 6-0-1 with an NHL best .950 save percentage over that span. He's a huge part of Ottawa's success. And guys, get this. Since 2017, this is the latest the Senators have sat in a playoff spot. So people are telling us to act like we've been there before. Well, guess what? We haven't. We'll see if Ullmark and the Senators can continue on this stretch. With the World Juniors coming to Ottawa, the Sens are now embarking on a 9-game road trip. They won't play at home until early January.
Ross heard me. 2017. This is the latest that the Senators have been in a playoff spot. And for Ottawa, having been part of one of the goalie transactions that felt like one that got away, with Philip Gustafson getting traded from Ottawa to Minnesota in exchange for Cam Talbot, the Senators have been looking for a goalie for a while. And so they swing big to get Linus Ullmark and bring him into the fold. the circumstances for him coming in, he was going into the last year of his deal. So you're like, is he going to stick around? Is he going to just kind of play this out and parlay it into a new deal? Senators said, nah, we're going to keep him around. We're going to keep him in tow. And the thing that can elevate a team from middling, from mid, from meh, from is good goalie play.
Yep.
And the Senators are finally getting that, which is leading to them being propelled to the top of the standings. And I was making such a scowly face earlier because I'm looking at the Eastern Conference playoff standings, and all the teams have a positive goal differential in the Eastern Conference playoff push, except for the Boston Bruins, who are at a -19.
Yeah.
Eyesore. But anyway, the Ottawa Senators 15-13-2 and 9-game road trip. This is the test of the metal. This is the test of the metal for the Senators, who are 5-7-1 on the road. So if you can get some good goalie play continuing from Ullmark, maybe you can turn that road trend around a little bit.
Yeah, and it is a roadie through Pacific Northwest, down through the Central. Like, this is a monster road trip for Ottawa. I do worry, like, Ullmark, I know he had to go in, goalie injured, had to go in, nothing he could do there. But are you worried about them overworking Ullmark, a guy who has had injury issues in the past, but you're also stuck in this point of, like, we need to win games, right? Especially with how poor the season started with them. Like, you need to win games just to make the playoffs. But are you also worried that, like, we're going to run Ullmark into the ground because we need him to play basically every possible game that we can? And yes, he's getting a fat new contract that they signed. That kicks in for next season. Like, he is paid like one of the top goalies in the NHL, and you expect those top goalies to play most nights. But I do worry about that, especially for a guy who has had some injuries here and there. If you are, if you're going to be able to make it to the finish line.
Well, it's a valid point, because his career high in games before this season was 49 for the Boston Bruins 2 years ago. Like, he's other than that, he's been about 40 games per season since he went to the Bruins. Before that, he was
when
in
you have Swayman and Ullmark. Yeah, you can.
That helps.
Yeah, it does help. Yeah,
but now, like you said, he's appeared in 20 of the 30 games. He started 19 of the 30. That's roughly 2/3 of the starts, 66%. You're talking 55, 60 games for an Ottawa team that's going to need every bit of them. Might need to make sure that backup goalie spot gets some regular play when the situation presents itself.
Yeah, especially second nights of back-to-backs and such. And
the way that you can help your goalie out is making sure that he doesn't have to do like an exorbitant amount of saves. But you look at some of these, save totals that he has had in these games. I mean, he had one in the game against Boston back on the 9th, 14 out of 16. That's a good way to make sure that your goalie doesn't have to get too lathered up. 19 out of 20 against Detroit. So if the Sens defense can limit the shots that actually get through, like, I would say avoid 36 out of 39, especially against the San Jose Sharks.
He stole that game. He stole that freaking game. It's so bad.
Stole a 4-3 game.
Mackenzie Blackwood also pooped the bed and gave up 4 goals on like 11 shots in that game.
Oh yeah, the Avs new goalie.
Yeah.
Well, the defense can help. The defense can help keeping Ullmark from having to get super overworked. But yeah, if let's say we get to March and April, and all of a sudden the Sens go into a little bit of a spin, that'll be the first thing I look at is, well, how many games is Ullmark starting to break down a little bit now that he finally has exceeded that 40, like once he gets up into the 50s in terms of starts,
Yep.
that's going to be when we start to really monitor his usage, because that's uncharted territory.
Yeah. Again, but credit to, the Sens, they went out. They tried to address their biggest weakness this offseason. They did. And that goes back to the Sabres. Do something. Make a big swing. So
go get Cam Fowler. Do something, not that, but do something. Like, go make a move. Maybe the Sens and the Sabres should talk. Who knows? Time will tell. I still think New York trade is probably the best way to go. But
I think the Rangers, they got a lot of dudes. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
I think they kind of want to soft reset this. They could get some young. Yeah. I think Sabres consolidate some of your stuff. Go get a dude like Panarin or somebody like that. And just
If they want to send Tage Thompson to Minnesota, I'd be fine with that too.
Yes.
We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it, as we do everything throughout the course of the week here at Locked On NHL, because there's nothing that slips through the cracks with our wide array of hosts throughout the week. So make sure that you follow along every single day with new episodes, the biggest stories of the week, and breakdowns of some of the biggest games too. We got it all for you right here on Locked On NHL. So hit that subscribe button.
PHWL every Saturday too. I know Erica and they've got that covered over there. So if you want your PWHL, they got you covered. They got you covered as well. So we got you all things professional hockey.
Yes, we do. Make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one right here on Locked On NHL.